Hey guys, it's John V here with PhoneArena. So the new Moto Z4 indicates that the Moto Z series is now on a totally different path. It's the latest Moto flagship phone, but in the greater scheme of things, it has mid-range written all over it. It seems as though the Moto Z line is now focused more on the core experience rather than specs, proving that a phone doesn't need all the bells and whistles to be a meaningful handset for the masses. The Moto Z line has always followed a strict design language due to being MotoMod compatible, so it's no shock that the Moto Z4 looks very much like its predecessors. It's a tired look at this point, but at least the phone is solidly constructed, made out of Gorilla Glass 5 at the back and Gorilla Glass 3 at the front, with a 6000 series aluminum frame around the edges. The first noticeable difference is the all-screen look with a subtle notch for the front-facing camera. Gone is the side-mounted fingerprint sensor, replaced instead by an in-display one that works pretty well just as long as your thumb is over it. Interestingly enough, a welcome surprise is the addition of a headphone jack, a first for the series. One of the biggest selling points of the Moto Z4 is that it's upgradable to 5G on Verizon through the help of a MotoMod, just like the Moto Z3 before it. It's clearly an option for eager tech enthusiasts and early adopters, but beyond that, there's still a healthy selection of MotoMods to choose from to satisfy nearly any need. Now, the most exciting things about the Moto Z4 screen are the addition of an in-screen fingerprint sensor and the all-screen appearance. It's a 6.4-inch 1080 by 2340 OLED display, and it features all the hallmark qualities we get in just about any other recent phone, like wide viewing angles, sharp details, and color tones that could appear either oversaturated or natural depending on the display setting you choose. In terms of brightness, it peaks at about 430 nits, which can make for some difficult viewing outdoors under the gaze of the sun. The Moto Z line has always offered a mostly stock Android experience, and the Moto Z4 is no exception, running Android 9 Pie out of the box. What we continue to appreciate is that the Moto experiences it's packing aren't redundant or overly complicated. Two examples are launching the camera app by twisting the phone twice in our hand, or turning on the LED flash by performing a chopping motion. When we think of a flagship phone, what comes to mind are handsets with top-of-the-line hardware specs, but the Moto Z4 is different. It's armed with a mid-range Qualcomm Snapdragon 675 chipset coupled with 4GB of RAM and the Adreno 608 GPU. Even though it's enough for fluid navigation across the interface, it's not quite as capable as a Snapdragon 800 series chip when it comes to handling more intensive applications, such as 3D gaming. The 128GB of built-in storage is plentiful, and a microSD card slot is available for users who need more. One of the more discreet changes in the Moto Z4 over its predecessor is that instead of a dual camera system, the phone sports just a single camera at the back. It has a 48 megapixel sensor that produces 12 megapixel photos by default, all on the larger sensor the company has put into any of its phones to date. It also features optical image stabilization, 4K video recording, a dual LED flash, and this new quad pixel technology that combines 4 pixels into a larger one, which theoretically should deliver better low-light performance. Using the same approach, the 25 megapixel front-facing camera produces 6 megapixel selfies in low light. Expectations are naturally high, especially after Google's Pixel 3a series of smartphones, but thankfully the Moto Z4 delivers better than average results for its price point. Not surprisingly, the best results occur when there's great lighting in the scene. Outdoor shots taken under sunny conditions are filled with details, but they're not the best in terms of dynamic range. The camera simply doesn't add enough to boost the shadows, so some of the compositions appear a little on the underexposed side. Take it indoors and the details would still be pretty good, but colors would seem a bit flat. Under low light, the Moto Z4 is capable of capturing good-looking shots, which you can see in some of these carnival samples. Under extreme conditions though, and using night vision mode, it results in some noticeable details loss and heavier digital noise. Yes, the overall shot looks brighter and more exposed, but the noise that infiltrates the scene doesn't make it too pleasing. Clearly, it's not as good as night sight mode with the Pixel 3a series. Still, it comes in handy for moderately low-lit situations, especially when there's a presence of strong light somewhere. Using the same quad-pixel technology found with the rear camera, the Moto Z4's 25 megapixel front-facing camera also delivers exciting snapshots. It's really good at taking them when there's ample lighting around, resulting in strong detailed images that aren't over-sharpened and are accompanied with natural color tones. Then again, the camera is not a strong performer under low light. Video recording performance is just okay with the Moto Z4. It's not a hit out of the ballpark, but it's not bad either. Topping out at 4K resolution 30 frames per second, the camera is best suited for sunny daytime settings. Details are sharp, but dynamic range continues to be a struggle. Another thing worth pointing out here is the optical image stabilization, which seems to apply a slight bobbing effect. It's noticeable, but it's not extremely distracting. The weakest point about the Moto Z4's camera is video recording under low light. Artifacting and digital noise are very rampant. It doesn't help either that the overall look is on the softer side, so fine details are just about non-existent. The Moto Z4 performs decently in the call quality department. Voices have a subtle artificial quality to them through the earpiece, which thankfully doesn't hinder the overall call experience. Aside from that, there's really very little to complain about here, because the earpiece and speakerphone deliver strong volume output. Inside the Moto Z4's felt chassis is a 3600 mAh battery, the largest in the series to date. Daily usage allows us to get more than ample time with the phone, but more impressive is how it performs in our custom battery benchmark test. It beats last year's Moto Z3 by over an hour, and even newer phones like the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus, reaching a mark of 9 hours and 49 minutes in our test. Over on the recharge side, the turbo power charger that comes included with the package requires 120 minutes to get the battery pack back to full capacity. That's longer than its predecessor's tally, but then again, we're dealing with a much higher capacity battery cell. There's no built-in wireless charging, but you can always add it later with the help of a Moto mod. And now comes the price. The Moto Z4 can be fetched for $500 unlocked. It's bundled with a free 360-degree camera Moto mod. It's a nice incentive to sweeten the package, but the real treat will come to new subscribers to Verizon, who can get the Moto Z4 for as low as $240. Now we have two totally different prices here, and there's no denying the fact that $240 is a steal. Now that undercuts a lot of the competition, while still offering users the option to add features through the extensive lineup of Moto mods. But if you're planning on buying the Moto Z4 unlocked at $500, it's treading close to OnePlus 7 Pro territory. Moreover, the Google Pixel 3a and 3a XL are priced below the Moto Z4 and are likely to impress you more with their camera performance. We wouldn't hesitate to tell you to buy the Moto Z4 if you intend on having Big Red as your carrier. It's a phenomenal deal. However, if you're not going to steer towards that area, then it'll ultimately come down to whether or not you plan to invest on add-ons for the phone, either on day one or down the road, with the help of those Moto mods. If so, then absolutely consider the Moto Z4. And that is it for our review, guys. If you want to learn more about it, you can check out our website, PhoneArena.com. This is John V, signing off.